So the title of my paper is Together, Alone, Classification and Blurry Ends in the God of Small Things. So my interest in the God of Small Things was Roy's use of multilinguistic and socio-interpersonal dynamics in her text to display caste values, love laws, and patriarchy. And so those are some of the claims that I make based on my interests in the topic in the book. And my goal ultimately is to take what Mamachi says about man's needs and weave that into the seduction scenes of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight between Lady Bertilak and Sir Gawain in the ultimate explanation of Velutha's inevitable death. So my 3 pages that I've selected begins. Roy's choice in diction when intertwining her Indian dialect to colloquial and academic English keeps an innocent stream of consciousness which follows these dizygotic 2-egg twins, Rahel and Esta, physically separate but with joint identities, page 5. Through the author's dual protagonists' description of thoughts and relationships within their family dynamics in tandem with her language melding, provides displays of constant images of human and natural separation and combination, a mixing and dividing of the conquered, changing, and assimilated world they're faced with navigating through, together, alone. I will mostly be expounding on Isar Ahmad's English language and post-colonial burden, an analysis of the appropriating linguistic, textual, and literary strategies in Arundhati Roy's novel, The God of Small Things, which was published in the June 2013 Kashmir Journal of Language Research. He states, Roy inducts vernacular speech and metaphors, parallel with explanation, parenthesis or without parenthesis, to foreground the sexuality, hybridity, caste system, and patriarchy in the context of non-Western settings of Kerala. I will argue that this is throughout British literature, not just in the non-Western settings of Kerala. Because of the class, caste values, and love laws, the laws that lay down who should be loved and how much, page 33, but predominantly the pushed patriarchal purview, these small twins are grown to be emotionally stifled and without anyone left to love them. Edges, borders, boundaries, brinks, and limits have appeared like a team of trolls on their separate horizons. Short creatures with long shadows patrolling the blurry end. Roy, page 5. Due to the history of laws that have been perpetuated so deeply within the individuals of the culture, a blind woman, beaten repeatedly by her academically brilliant and charitable husband, creates a separate entrance for her son's lovers, who are married, or his employees, after his divorce, but beats and spits on the man who loves her lonely and also divorced daughter. The separation of the classes, genders, religions, and castes define where people have a place, and the blurring of those lines increases the risk of punishment for many of the characters for the sake of these big things. The family is each faced with their limit to its life-changing or life-affirming point. All characters have a place to be in, and crossing out into liminal space, into the blurry ends of their lives and limitations, only leads to devastation in this small, well-enough-to-do family. Alex Tickle's article, Arundhati Roy's Post-Colonial Cosmopolitanism, draws attention to Papachi's professional authority and how it is sabotaged by nature's tendency to evade or slip across the boundaries of classification. Tickle also states, as we soon realize, classification is not solely bureaucratic in the God of Small Things, it also appears in the more Foucauldian shape of biological taxonomy, associated with the repressive, patriarchal figure of Papachi. The difference in the way that Mamachi treats the sexual endeavors of their 2 divorced children is a further manifestation of the system based on the caste that extends its patriarchal powers. Ahmad claims that Roy inserts vernacular terminologies and colloquial metaphors in her text as the dominant English language was inadequate to address the metonymic gaps and her radical sense of otherness. that Amu is treated as an other to Chaco, that the twins are treated as an other to Sophie, and that Velutha is an other to the rest of the family, is an extension of this domination in the world of the god of small things. Ahmad continues by stating that she, through the linguistic practice of code switching and code mixing, also dismantles and deconstructs the inflexible codes of caste pseudopolitics and male domination in the context of post-colonial India. So here I'm probably going to explain a little bit about the evidence in the book in which Roy uses the otherness in language. To describe Baby Kochima, Roy uses the term manless woman to demonstrate her place in the male-dominated society as being less woman but more man. Roy's reflection of the patriarchal norms of Indian society, where the female can only attain respectable status under marriage, is only the tip of the iceberg in the unrespectability of Baby Kochima. However, she is at least, and I do emphasize least, looked upon more highly than untouchables like Velutha, though through her manipulation of the class system, age dynamic, and manipulation of her assertion of less woman and more man, Baby Kochima is able to orchestrate the murder of an innocent man for the sake of his class and political affiliations. Though he is part of the untouchable class, the lowest in the Indian caste system, Velutha is responsible for the joy of Amu and her children and the small things he's able to do for their little family. However, he cannot be a part of their lives because of the social lines that divide them. He could do only one thing at a time. If he held her, he couldn't kiss her. If he kissed her, he couldn't see her. If he saw her, he couldn't feel her. Page 205, Roy. Because he is untouchable, his relationship with a woman outside of his class is unacceptable, though she is divorced, which in this culture is a disgrace among women but not men, as shown through the treatment of Chaco and Amu by Mamachi. The small things are what matter most for people like Amu, not the big things like class, religion, politics, and power. She just wanted not to know what each day held in store for her, not to know where she might be next month, next year, page 213, and wished that the history that guided their lives was not filled with limitation and loss due to gender, status, and caste. So much is lost in the big picture of order. When Chaco was away at school in London, Amu was kicked out of her home, reluctantly accepted back after her divorce from a husband of another ethnicity, and works hard for the family business, only to be kicked out by her brother, who took over the family business. Amu was left underloved, undereducated, undervalued, under a man, under the scrutiny of the world, under the responsibility of her children, under a slow-turning ceiling fan, because she loved an untouchable man, and that untouchable man dared to love her back. And so here is where I would implement some of the research I've been doing about Gawain and the seduction scenes with Lady Bertilak, and how his conquering of those seduction scenes displays his honor, and that inevitably leads to this girdle, which is a hurrah for men conquering this sexual seduction, and how, because Velutha did not do that, he had to die. And so I guess some kind of feedback I'd like is where in the essay I can expand on research, where I can be more concise, where I can kind of trim the fat on some of what I'm saying, so I can finish the other 2/3 of my research paper. So thanks, good luck, and I look forward to enjoying what you guys are putting it forward. So thank you guys.